Hello, and thank you for joining us as we discuss key considerations for your overall customer experience strategy. My name is Heather Timney, and I am the head of marketing at Satrix Solutions. We're a customer experience and employee engagement consulting firm. With me is Evan Klein. He is the founder and president of Satrix Solutions, and Steve Bernstein, CEO and founder of Waypoint, a software company for voice of customer platforms. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me here. I'm looking forward to an engaging discussion with Evan.
Great.
Yes, thanks, Heather. Thanks, Steve, my very old friend. Really looking forward to the discussion.
Indeed.
All right, let's jump in. Steve, a growing number of B2B companies are focusing on net negative churn. Do you think that's partially due to the emphasis venture capital and private equity firms have placed on this means of growth? Why do you think it's so important to investors?
I think there's a big mantra, I know there's a big mantra around land and expand. And so I think the whole notion here is to make sure that we are creating, an income stream, I guess, right? A revenue stream that can smooth out the curves, that can drive lifetime value, that can do all those things that we need to do to accelerate profitable growth for a company, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that should be what the growth mantra is. Now, regrettably, I guess, net negative churn hides a lot of sins. I mean, so if you're netting out your expansion from your churn rate or your retention metrics, then you're basically covering up your churn with expansion deals. And it's super important to look at both. I mean, I know as an industry in customer success, right, we all talk about retention and churn quite a lot, but the money move really is expansion sales. I mean, CEOs care about growth. So churn is important to manage because you don't want to erode that growth and you want to look at gross churn. But expansion sales are important enough to kind of look at to see, are we adding value and are we increasing essentially profitability over time? So when you're looking at profitability, you want to look at, for example, customer acquisition cost. As a company gets bigger, it should be less and less expensive to acquire new customers because you're getting advocates, you're getting referrals, right? We all know that your best deals tend to come from references and referrals, right? Getting people to come to you organically. So creating a way and a measurement through CAC, customer acquisition cost, or through just by looking at expansion sales separately from churn rates, right, you get a clearer sense of what's going on. You can't, the more you aggregate stuff into that kitchen sink, the less visibility there is on the things that matter most. Evan, I know you do a lot of work with VCs as well as us, where we take the software approach. But are you finding VCs doing the same thing?
Yeah, Steve, it's been interesting the last 5-7 years, how much more emphasis the venture capital and private equity firms have placed on essentially the work that we do, right? This focus on customer satisfaction, retention or churn reduction, customer lifetime value. It's been a tremendous focus and frankly, a welcome one across VC and private equity firms in the recent years. And actually, we're thankful in part because it's rare that a month goes by that we don't get a phone call from either a portfolio company or maybe the venture capital firm themselves saying, hey, we want our portfolio companies doing this, or the portfolio company saying we were advised that we really need to do this. And so there's been a tremendous focus on this, which has been great. And I think the reason is pretty obvious, like you said, Steve. It's companies grow faster when they're better with retention or churn reduction, land and expand, customer lifetime value ingredients. And venture capital, private equity firms want higher rates of visibility and predictability in revenue and earning streams. So, how do you get that? You get that when you have very low churn and high opportunity for upsell, cross-sell. And you said as well, referrals and reference accounts and testimonials, all those things. So it's definitely It's definitely more of a focus, I think, on a lot of companies that are sort of that B round, C round, D round, venture capital, or a lot of the sort of private equity firms that are doing roll-ups in different industries and are saying this is going to be a focus for you guys. So that's been great. And I think, us helping our clients on the reporting elements of this and serving as an objective third party, right? So they can trust, the board can trust the data that's being delivered, and they have the perspective that they need to help their companies make decisions is, what it means to us and our clients at the end of the day.
For sure. Yeah. So shining the light, I think we are in wholehearted agreement, violent agreement, right? That, getting the right data in front of the right people is important. The NPS could be important as long as you show it with, how representative it is. Are we moving in the right direction? Are we engaging and activating those promoters to lower our customer acquisition cost? Are we converting detractors, which are generally much more expensive to service, right? Are we converting or neutralizing them in various ways? I mean, so all these metrics need to be looked at together, but the most important thing I think is look at the change over time, right? So are we, from time period, quarter over quarter, are we increasing our our retention rate, and are we increasing our rates of profitable growth? At the end of the day, I think that's what VCs want to see things moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Thank you, Evan and Steve, for bringing your expertise to this thoughtful discussion. If you've listened to all 5 of these questions, you realize there's a lot of moving parts, right, Steve and Evan?
Yeah, right. We do hear a lot, like how complicated it could be. It's just a survey. It's not just a survey. This, doing this stuff right requires a deliberate process to get trustworthy representative feedback that is moving in the right direction, that is changing appropriately. So we have software to help enable that, but coupled with what you guys do, what Evan's been talking about with consulting, super important. Evan?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. And I think, working with a number of different companies since our inception in 2009, we've seen a lot of really great things that companies have done and that we've helped them do. And then unfortunately, we've seen companies who have tried it on their own internally and, made mistakes. And so that's one of the areas that, really pains us when we see companies doing things wrong, because ultimately it has the really significant risk of generating data that's not reliable or trustworthy in any way, or potentially offending the very relationships you were looking to strengthen because you're not doing the the work of actioning the feedback afterwards. So as a consulting firm, these are some of the areas that we work very closely with our clients to ensure that they are adhering to best practices, that we're doing all the right things to maximize the return on investment.
Great, thanks. So to dive deeper into this discussion or to chat more about your program, please feel free to connect with Evan or Steve or myself on LinkedIn, and you can also find more information on our websites. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Heather. Thanks, Evan.